Okay, it's 3 o'clock. My name is Gary Mary. I'm the CEO of Carson and Saint. I'm super excited to be here today. I don't get a chance to participate in these release events very often, mainly because it's all about the demo, but I kind of see this as a year-end recap and looking into the future. So I've been excited all day about getting the opportunity to participate. So I want to make sure that everyone understands that we appreciate your feedback, and as we move forward, you can register your questions in the chat. Quinn Hopkins is here to help keep up with it, and then we'll spend some time at the end chatting about any questions you have. Again, feel free to ask anything. We are a company who likes to talk to our customers. I want to thank you for joining us for our Saint 99 release announcement and training. We're very proud of what we've produced in 2020, not just the normal enhancements and updates to Saint, but also our ability to put and adapt Saint into the new normal of 2020. I have with me here today Randy Laudermilk, who was at one time the head of product development for Saint, and he's now the head of business development for Carson and Saint. So not only does Randy understand deeply the architecture and technology of Saint, he also knows the use cases for Saint. He spent a lot of time this year deploying Saint into customers' newly developed topologies. One of the things we've seen in 2020 is a very urgent need to accommodate multiple topologies in multiple levels of requirements. There isn't an environment that Saint cannot and is not deployed into. I also have with me today Sam Kline, who is our Chief Technology Officer. Sam's one of those rare technologists that can not only shape technology, but also make the technology meet the needs of our customers. Interesting fact about Sam, Sam has been the chief architect developer and really the spiritual leader of Saint from all the way back in 1999. Another interesting thing that I love about Sam is that he spends more time with our customers than any other CTO that I've ever met. You're going to find that Randy and Sam, and really our whole team, have a deep desire to interface with our customers and understand their needs today and in the future. Saint 99 is a product of that desire. By way of an agenda, I'm going to do a quick introduction to Saint, some information you may not be aware of, and then we're going to talk about a new initiative by us called Channel Partners, I'm sorry. And Randy Laudermilk's going to take that piece, and then we're going to get into what you came here for, which is a Saint 99 demonstration and training. As I said, there really isn't a topology that Saint cannot be installed in. We proudly span from the largest MSP in the world all the way to single laptop consultancies. We're extremely proud of our depth and breadth in deployment and its effectiveness. And again, at the end, we'll talk about any questions you have, and then some ideas we have for the future of Saint. Speaking a little bit about the history of Saint, some of you may or may not know, Saint's one of the original foundational technologies in cybersecurity. It was first released in 1995. Saint has been earning its living protecting our customers for 25 years. And in that time, it has constantly been advanced as a cyber tool ever since. Actually, one of the oldest, even older than Gordon's Nmap by 2 years, which I thought was interesting. One thing about us that I'm sure all of you know, that we don't really follow marketing trends. We follow our customers and their needs. We don't use buzzwords and acronyms, and we don't allow marketing to make claims about some things that we do or don't do. We fully understand that narrative sells. And in fact, our product, Saint, is our narrative. Saint's first in a lot of things. Not only, or most notably, the brilliant merging of vulnerability scans with pen testing. Absolutely the first to come to market with that concept. We were also the first cloud-based scanner. Pierre over at Qualys may not be aware of this, as he flaps his arms every week with a new acronym, but in fact, we were there first, and we remain a very solid cloud performer. We were also the very first V6 scanner, first to obtain SCAP 1.1 through NIST. We were also first to have pre-configured licenses in AWS. We actually maintain today a very strong relationship with AWS at some very technical levels. And we are, in fact, the scanner that's powering the MSSP market today. Just last week, we were speaking with an Ivy League professor who had taken a copy of Saint almost as a curiosity to his school, and he and his students had looked at it and compared it to some of our competitors. We spoke with him last week about his findings, and his exact words were that it was the best engineered tool that he had ever seen, and it's now become part of their required curriculum. I know I speak for the entire Carson and Saint family when I say that we're proud to be here with you. You know cyber, and therefore you know Saint. You're here today as part of a base of users that understands the battle and understands the tools necessary to fight it. As we do with all things, we ask ourselves at Carson and Saint how what we're doing will make the customer better at what they do, how we can make them safer, and how they can make their customers safer and more efficient. I'm going to turn the presentation over to Randy and let him talk about something that we believe will in fact do both. Randy?
Yeah, thanks, Gary.
Sure.
Well, one of the foundations of our program has always been our partnership with our customers. I think anyone that's worked with us for any length of time, when it comes to the product side, will always talk about our value, not only with the technology, but our customer care, customer support, and as Gary said, our willingness to learn and listen and work collaboratively with you. And the sales side, the business development side is exactly the same way. Historically, most of our work, in terms of that product delivery side, has been mostly very hands-on, hand-to-hand, and working where we pick up a lot of the workload for you in terms of that, the sales cycle and things like that. But as we grow and as time goes on and as programs get more mature, technical approaches, business processes over time just start to need to mature a little bit more. And so, we've done the same thing with our programs. One of the keys being our channel program. Back in 1999 or 2019, we took a really hard look at our existing partner program and our channel program, and started to make some pretty substantial changes. First of which, formalizing a lot of things, onboarding customers, our partners onto our website and give them more visibility as partners, and really take a hard look at our products, our pricing models, and our product delivery models of how that can facilitate more benefit and more value for our channel partners. And so a lot of that work was what was done in 19, starting with a revamped, literally an entire brand new framework to work from. And so earlier this year is when we really started to roll out our partner product lists and price models and things like that to really enhance how we do with the channels. And as you see in this graphic to the right, we really started looking at framework-wise, really what are the fundamentals of that program, anywhere from, joint marketing and collaboration, in terms of account management and deal registration, that whole process. And so we really knew we had, our hands full in terms of being able to meet that commitment to that level of a framework. So in addition to getting the products and the pricing models established early this year, our brand new initiative is to work on the actual channel partner portal. And that means, as you may be aware of, some other partner programs of having a customized portal that our channel partners can work through in terms of being able to have places to put their own information, looking at marketing materials and having templates and frameworks to work from to do joint marketing. Also in terms of, how you do deal registration and track opportunities and those type of things. So that work is ongoing. And as Gary mentioned, that really is something that we're doing, hard and fast for this year. And as the last bullet point here says, we want the initial capability to be of the most value that we can by the end of this quarter. And then from there, be able to work again collaboratively with our partners to see what we need to do in future quarters and releases to enhance that. So in terms of some of the highlights, we talked about, onboarding processes, versus more of a, here's your partner agreement and here's your account rep, and doing things more hand to hand. It's how do we want, we want to make that as seamless as possible and as easy as partners for our partners to move to the new framework, to be able to execute their processes in terms of sales processes and account management in a more seamless way. So certainly the onboarding process is key, but also partner content. Being able to collect that information quickly and give you a way to be able to modify that, update it, keep it up to date and track it in a way that we can continue to socialize our partnership, but in a way for you to do that in the most effective manner. And certainly, the meat and potatoes of any good channel partner program is in deal registration and opportunity management, and managing that customer, from the time you first get the opportunity on to winning them, onboarding them and managing them. Additionally, content, ease of use and ease of access to marketing content, marketing templates, so you can do co-branded marketing templates, things like that, product content, collecting information about the product's value, our value to our customers, access to demo software and things like that. Being able to quickly get information about whether it's, web-based training or it's videos or it's other type of mechanisms to get training and content about the product and its usefulness to help you do your job more effectively when it comes to, looking at opportunities and increase your closure rate. But certainly one of the foundations is still keep that direct access with your partner rep. We don't want to make everything so technology driven that we lose that human interface. So certainly through this entire process of bringing on a new channel partner program and the portal, being able to give you quick and available access to your account rep for any needs that you have to, again, work collaboratively to help you through the sales process and be as successful as you can. So at this stage, that's sort of the framework in terms of where we are from that business development and moving, with our partner programs. But, back to the key agenda, I want to turn this over to Sam Kline, our CTO at this point. And as we move past, that part of our experience for the year is to talk specifically about version 9.9 and, sort of the key point of today's presentation. Sam?
Thanks, Randy. So I'm going to be showing you some of the highlights of 9.9 and other things that we've released during the year 2020. So first I'm going to be showing you the MySaint Assistant and then the improved license setup. I'll be showing you what our new RTF reports look like and our new certified CIS benchmarks. And finally, I'll show you some of the improvements to our VPN tunnel connector. Just give me a minute while I share my screen. So here we're looking at the My Saint portal. So if you're a Saint customer, you're familiar with this portal. This is where you go to download your software and to get license keys. So now when a new user logs into the portal for the first time, they're going to see this new dialog called the My Saint Assistant, which pops up. So whereas before you were kind of on your own to figure out what software you needed to download and where to download it and how to install it, now the assistant will come up and guide you through. The assistant is an interactive dialogue, which leads you through the process with a series of questions. So I'm going to go through some of these questions as if I were a typical user. So what do you want to do today? I want to install the Saint Security Suite. I want to install it on my own Linux system, and the other options would be in a virtual machine or in the cloud. I'm going to choose my type of Linux and the system architecture. And that takes us to the download page. So we're going to accept the license agreement after we read through it. So I accept this agreement, and that gives us the option to download the deb package. So I click on that. The file downloads, but it doesn't stop there. So once the download is complete, the assistant goes on to give you instructions for installing the file that you just downloaded. And these instructions are specific to the questions that we answered before. So we're not going to have to dig through a whole bunch of different instructions for different platforms and different use cases. These instructions will be tailored to the use case that we just described when we answered the questions. So here it's telling us how to go ahead and open the file. It's going to tell us how to start Saint, and it's going to tell us how to launch the browser and begin using Saint. So this assistant, it's going to come up automatically for new users, but it's available to all users from the resources menu in the My Saint portal. So once Saint has been installed, we go back into the Saint Security Suite. I'm going to log in here. And one new thing that we notice upon first login is that in Saint 9.9, it now gives us a pop-up dialog which prompts us to put in our customer login and password. And what this will do will automatically configure our license key. So we no longer need to log into the My Saint portal, do a cut and paste, and then come over and paste it into Saint Security Suite. Now all we have to do is put in our login and password. And it automatically configures the license key for us, so there's no more cutting and pasting. So between this new feature and the new My Saint Assistant, which I showed you, the process for new users to get started using Saint Security Suite has gotten a lot more intuitive and a lot easier for the average user. So moving on to the next thing I wanted to show you is RTF reports. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new report. And so the report wizard comes up. We can choose the full scan report type or any report type that you wish. And then we choose the format. And if you're a Saint user, you're familiar with some of these report formats. We've always supported PDF, HTML, CSV, and XML. But we also have a new option now, which is the RTF report. That stands for Rich Text Format, and that's a format that will open natively in either Microsoft Word or Microsoft WordPad. So whereas before we never had an option that allowed us to natively open our reports in Microsoft Word, now that option exists. So we're going to choose RTF. I'm going to click on Finish. It's going to prompt me to open this with Microsoft Word, so I'm going to click OK. And once this report opens, you'll see that the report format looks just like what we're already familiar with from the PDF and the HTML reports. We get the same boilerplate introduction. We get the same kinds of executive summary at the top, showing the vulnerabilities by severity. And as we scroll down, we see a lot more of the same familiar charts. And then we see the tables down here. So we see a table showing us what hosts were detected, what their host types were, and how many problems were detected on each, followed by a vulnerability list, which shows us what vulnerabilities were detected, and it gives us a CVE reference and a CVSS score, giving the impact of each one. So this report format is just like the ones we've seen before in the PDF and the HTML report, but it's a lot easier to edit than those report formats. So I can click on Enable Editing in Microsoft Word. And then that opens it up in edit mode. And we can now modify the report if we so choose. So if we want to change this, if we want to change the introductory text, we can do so. If we want to change any other element of the report, we can do so. So that's it for RTF reports. The next thing I wanted to show you were the new CIS benchmarks. So I'm going to go over to scan and then to benchmark scanning. Now we've supported benchmark scanning for quite a while, both for vulnerability scanning and configuration scanning. We've had USGCB and some other templates in here for a while, and these use the OVAL and the XCCDF format in order to run a scan for a certain benchmark. We recently got certified by the CIS to scan for these 10 new benchmarks, which we didn't have before. So you can see here, starting with CIS Windows Server 2019 and 2016 and Windows 10, and then down to some types of Linux, Ubuntu, Red Hat, also CentOS, and we also have some Apple 10.15 and 10.14, that's the Mac OS operating system, and Amazon Linux 2 we also have. So all of these are already packaged into Saint. All you have to do is just click over here to this icon with the 2 arrows to import a new benchmark into Saint. So you click on that, and within a few seconds, the benchmark has been imported and is ready to use. So let's say, for example, we wanted to run a Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 benchmark. We would click on the Run button. That brings us up a number of profiles to choose from. So each benchmark has a number of different profiles. In this case, we have level 1 and level 2 benchmarks from CIS, covering both Red Hat servers and Red Hat workstations. We could go ahead and run any one of those. So suppose I have a workstation that I run a level 2 benchmark scan against. I would click on the Run button here, and that brings up the scan wizard, the familiar scan wizard with the policy already preset over here to the XCCDF policy for the CIS Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 benchmark, which is what has been imported. And it has our profile. We're running the level 2 workstation profile. So from here, we would run our scan and it would proceed normally. So when the scan is finished, we would go over here to benchmark reporting. So when we click on benchmark reports, let me just make sure I'm selecting the right data here. So I'm going to choose the results of the scan, which just ran. And so here we have the results of our benchmark scan. If I click on the information here and click on human readable, we can see what the results were. So it gives us a little bit of summary information first, and then a little bit of system information. And then down here, we can see the result of each control that was included in the benchmark scan and what the outcome of the test was. So first it starts with all the true ones, followed by the ones which couldn't be evaluated, and finally all the ones which failed. The final thing I wanted to show you today was the new VPN tunnel connector. So we've supported VPN tunnel connectors for a while, where you run a scan from the cloud and you can scan a private internal IP address by choosing a machine on that private network to serve as a VPN connector which allows the scan to run through that connector from the cloud into your private network. However, the process for doing that will become a lot easier in Saint 9.9, and I'll show you how. So I'm going to go to my scan wizard and create a new job. So I'm going to call it an internal scan. I'll choose my scan level, which normally the best scan level to choose is the full vulnerability scan. We move forward and we'll enter our private IP addresses here. So these are the addresses on our private network that we want to scan from the cloud. So I'll put in a private IP address there. And then we don't need authentication. Then we get to this step 4, and we're going to click on the tunneling tab. Now we're going to give our scanner, which is running in the cloud, an IP address on the private network. So I'm going to choose a 192.168.1 address for that. I do have to give it a net mask. And so what's going to happen is when the scan runs, we're going to run what we call the VPN tunnel connector on a Windows machine in that private network. And then when the scan runs, it'll establish a VPN connection to that tunnel connector, which allows it to scan any machine on our private network. So when we click on next, it then prompts us to download this VPN connector. First, we're going to choose the operating system, which is Windows 64-bit. We'll download the connector. It prompts us to save the file, which we can do. And then it gives us the parameters. So when we run the downloaded file, we see that it's now a proper Windows installer. It's a self-extracting executable. We just click yes to start the installation process. And then we see the usual Windows installer. We're going to click next. There's a license agreement we need to accept, so we're going to read that. And then we accept it. And then the next page takes us to the configuration for the VPN tunnel connector. And here it's very simple. All we have to do is just copy and paste the parameters from the Saint Security Suite into this VPN tunnel connector to tell it how to connect to the Saint Security Suite. So we'll copy that and we paste it in here. Then we're going to copy the encryption key and we'll paste it in there as well. We're going to choose which network interface we want to run the tunnel connector on. So we're going to choose the wired interface, which is this one. And there, we're all done. The VPN tunnel connector is now pre-configured so that it'll connect out to the Saint Security Suite running in the cloud and establish the VPN when the scan starts. We then finish through the rest of these steps to install. It only takes a few seconds to install. Or at least it did yesterday.
Except for when you're demo.
Yep. Okay, and that's it. It's completed. So another difference between the new VPN connector and what we had before is that the new connector runs as a Windows service in the background. So normally in your everyday usage, you're not even going to see it running. It just starts up in the background whenever you start the system. So let's go to our Windows services just to make sure it's there. And what we see is, wait, did I pass? Yes, I passed it. Okay, we're going to need to refresh that. And there it is, the Saint VPN connector, which is currently running and configured to start automatically. So it's ready to go now. As soon as we start our scan, the VPN connection will be established and the scanner in the cloud will be able to scan into the private network. So these were just a few of the new features coming out in Saint 9.9. There are also a lot of other features, which we won't have time to go through them all today. But feel free to look at the release notes. The release notes are in the email that you received, and you can also see the link which Quinn has put into the chat of this Zoom meeting. in order to see those release notes. And you can browse through some of the other interesting features that we're releasing in Saint 9.9. So that's it for the demo. Gary, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, can everybody see the Saint demo slide? Has my audio gone to heck on me? Can you hear me okay, Sam?
Yeah, we hear you.
Fine, Sam. Yeah, Gary.
Okay, no, I thought I was getting some echo. All right, thanks a lot, Sam. That was fantastic. One of the things I wanted to loop back on was something that Randy left us with on the channel partners. And I want to take a second and really re-emphasize that one thing that the channel partner, channel portal program is not, it is not a replacement for our customer representation, our customer reps. We pride ourselves in listening to and having ongoing dialogues with our customers. And in fact, when our new head of marketing came to work this summer, Quinn Hopkins, who's on the call today, one of the first things he did, well, the very first thing we had him do was sit down for a couple of weeks and do nothing but call customers, call them, talk to them, get to know them. He put together a questionnaire that he wanted to use to help him understand how well we were doing. He did that independently. We didn't influence it. We wanted to see what the results were. And he came back and, a lot of very good input, a lot of complimentary things that we were humbled by. But primarily the thing we heard was that our customer service is fantastic, great. We got 5 stars across the board. And the reason was when you call somebody, you can talk to somebody. It's not running you through a fact, running you through a bot, running you through everything I can to keep you from talking to one of our folks. If you've been a customer of ours for very long, you know Sam Kline, you know Randy Laudermilk, and you probably know me personally in one way or another. There isn't anyone on the Carson and Saint team has that's more important to us on any given business day than to talk to a customer. We will stop everything we're doing to do so. So Randy made a good point. The channel partner program is seen as a catalyst, as an addition, and to bridge the gap between information, velocity of information, and allowing you to really see and have access to everything that we have internally that helps us in our selling process, implementation process, and operational process. Okay, what's next? We'll of course continue to have updates to Saint, but we'll have our sights set on a new version of Saint. The existing Saint, as you know it today, will always exist. But we do have some ideas about what can happen and what can be a catalyst towards disrupting this industry being vulnerability management. So what we'd like to do is form some advisory groups, and we're going to do that. And if you would be interested in joining an advisory group, please be sure and let us know. You can let us know through actually putting a ticket in and through the help desk. But we think that there's more to this output than just what really the industry is giving us. And when we look at our competitors and we look at the comparative and the competitive points, it's pretty simple for us to see that we have some advantages, specifically in our ability to be agile and to listen and to move in quick directions that they can't. So we're a very mature company. We take mature steps. And as we move forward, one of the things we don't want to do is think that we know better than our customers when it comes to the future. So 2020, 2021, I mean, you'll start really hearing about Saint 10. We've had Saint 10 on the books since 2019. We have all kinds of ideas about what the next generation of Saint should look like. We think that the problem scape has changed, and we think that we can change the game to address those challenges. So as we form these groups, we'll let you know as customers, and form some groups, not really necessarily think tank groups, but really focus groups on what's missing in the market today. So with that said, as I said at the beginning of the conversation, we really wanted this to be interactive. As I said before, I'm excited to be here, to be part of this, and get a chance to answer any questions myself and the rest of the team. You really can't ask a question at this point that we can't answer between the three of us. So Quinn, do you want to look at the chat and ask any questions that are out there, and then call on whoever asked the questions if they need clarification?
Yeah, sure thing. It looks like right now there isn't any questions that are being waited on.
Well, did somebody, so does everybody see the questions? Let's make sure that everyone has seen them, and in case we need to repeat them. Chat, there's 9 questions out there.
We had a question from Mike Parsons about the portal being open now. That was answered by Randy, but Randy, if you want to reiterate, that'd be
Oh, that's
awesome.
fine. Yeah, right now the portal is under R&D. The goal is to begin to onboard some of our initial partners by year end. It may be sooner than that, but with the holidays and all that, we know how that can be, trying to sync up calendars. But the goal is to get through the initial capability in terms of the design and some content and start to onboard folks pretty soon.
Great. I saw the question about red versus green. Did you get that answered, Mike?
I did not. At least I didn't see an answer.
Hey, Sam, did you see there's a question about red versus green in the results?
Yes, I did see that. I'm not sure how these color schemes were. I'm not sure where these color schemes came from, if they were part of the XCCDF template or whether we came up with them ourselves. So I'm going to have to look into that and get back to you.
Originally, some of those report templates came directly out of the SCAP program, the NIST program design elements. I'm not sure, as you said, why they would pick, fails green and passes red. That made little sense. But there are a couple of other report formats inside of that schema that were also human readable, but not that specific prescribed report that went through SCAP validation. That validation of V1.2 was so prescriptive, it really didn't give us much, space and room to maneuver. But there are a couple of other report formats in that download. As Sam, when Sam showed that dialogue, there were several different file formats. So some of those should make a little bit more sense. But in terms of that, I mean, if NIST is no longer prescribing color schemes, we can always look into doing something like that. But yeah, I do agree. It's a little backwards in terms of, having red being passed. So it's noted.
Hey, there was another question from Jerome Thorpe about VPN, and asking if it was open VPN, and it would be good if we can pre-populate the fields. Did you see that one, Sam?
Yes. So first of all, as far as the question about Open VPN, we do use the Windows TAP adapter, which is developed by the Open VPN project. However, the VPN itself is not Open VPN. It's our own code. And as far as pre-populating the fields, yes, you can do that. You can enter your own port number, encryption key, or static routes beforehand. You don't have to wait for the software to randomly generate that for you.
And then Rick Lavordis has a question about including enhancements in the pen testing improvements. Rick, I don't know if you've used there are 4 different pen tests that you can do inside of Saint. I don't know that if you've had a chance to use those. We see that Saint and its ability to pen test as being a more of a pen test that's based on standards and less on what would be considered a true hardcore pen test using, Kali and a handful of tools. So yeah, we do have plans to improve, and we also have plans to do some partnering that we're very excited about. There's some tools on the market today, some automated pen testing tools such as Core Impact that we're very impressed with. They're modern, and one of the things you find even with Core, so there's a little bit of a symbiotic relationship between pen testing and vulnerability management. In fact, we recently had an amazing webinar that Randy Laudermilk fielded for us with Core Impact, and it was talking about the need for both a pen test and a vulnerability management sort of in lockstep. And so today, those two for us are in a close lockstep, and we have plans in the future to do a partnership with, we're hoping, Core Impact. We have a long relationship with those folks, and we know that there are a point in their pen test that they incorporate the results from vulnerability scanning. And so they're symbiotic, and I think it's a good question, because me personally as a technologist, I believe that they should in fact interoperate. And we've done it ourselves. As I said, we were first to the market to do so. And we've focused a little more on the compliance and a little less on broadening it. But we do in fact have plans for doing that in the future. I don't know if that answers your question, but if you want to, I don't know if you're on mute, if you got a follow up, or if you want to put your follow up into the chat, I'll try to pick it up, right? So there's one here from Miguel. That's one. Excuse me.
Gary, this is Rick.
Oh, hey, Rick. Yeah.
My question is, I did attend that that presentation that you referred to, and then after the presentation, Core reached out to me, and for to try and sign me up for their penetration testing, and and I discussed back and forth with them, but I was a little bit confused as to the relationship between Saint and Core. It didn't seem to be outside of bounds, them contacting me, knowing that I was brought in by Saint. So, if you could, I don't know if you could explain the relationship between Core and Saint.
Sure.
I felt like they were trying to poach one of your customers after a joint after a joint presentation.
Well, I think that, Rick, the foundation for our relationship is really that we're practitioners here. I mean, we're cybersecurity guys, and we understand the need when it comes to your security stack of having all of the tools you need when you need those tools. So our relationship really started with the understanding of the need for an automated pen test. And there's a whole religion around automated pen test versus the manual wild-eyed kid with Kali and a couple of tools, Wireshark or whatever. And I think that there's a fundamental understanding between the two of us that you have to have both. You really need to do pen testing, but more than anything else, you need that bare metal view of what your vulnerabilities and what is included. Now, when you talk to the folks at Core Impact, in fact, I just watched one of their webinars last week. We weren't there at the time, so they were a little more forthcoming in what they believed was the advantages. But that's not a disagreement between us. It's just a home, sort of a home turf kind of thing. And so anyone who understands what you need, who understands cybersecurity, understands you need both. We don't think they necessarily take from us, and I don't believe they believe we take from them. And ultimately, and I know this sounds like a slogan, but ultimately both companies have the desire to make our customers more secure. And their tool does more if you need more. Now, you don't always need more. If you've got a good, solid vulnerability management program, you use your and I'm going to get way out of the bushes here, but you use your pen testing at the right time for the right things, not in place of the other. I would, as a technologist, as a guy who used to be a CIO for a retailer, which is the wild west of the internet, as a CIO from retail, I can tell you that you would never replace a pen test and say, "Oh, that's it, we're good, we're secure." You need a program, and that program is vulnerability management. However, you still need to do a pen test, and we have a very good relationship with them at a technical level and at a business level. We like those guys, we like their technology, and they like us and they like our technology. You probably just got a little bit of home turf, just like me explaining why it's more important to have a vulnerability management than just a pen test. I think you can do one, you really don't want to do one without the other. So Rick, I don't know if that answers, but that's certainly my take.
Yeah, that it's very much in line with what they were saying. I mean, it wasn't an either or in the discussions with them. It was, you should use Saint for this and you should use us for that.
Yeah.
And it's very much in line. So that's,
yeah, they got this idea that you get too much, right? But the devil's in the details here, guys. The devil's in the details, and you really don't want to abstract them to the point where you don't see them or you don't get to smell them or see them. I'm a bare metal guy. I like to see all of it, and I want to make my decisions as to what is and isn't a true false positive and things such as that. So if there is a fundamental difference, it has to do with what you should and shouldn't, and when you shouldn't see it. So I'm a detail guy.
Thank you, Gary.
Sure, buddy. May I ask a question about 9.8 to 9.9? Sam, did you see that? Is there any major requirements to go to 9.9?
No, there are no major new package dependencies for 9.9.
Hey, Matt, the 9.9, Matt Johnson, the 9.9 release notes are actually posted at the beginning of the, that looks like Quinn posted them again.
Yep, I got them. Thanks, Gary.
All right, thanks.
And then we also had a question from Aaron about retiring scan nodes in 9.9 and if that frees up licenses.
Yeah, so 9.9 does introduce a new feature whereby scan nodes can be marked as retired so that they no longer show up in your list of nodes. And retired nodes don't use a license. In fact, the way our node licensing works is that only the currently connected nodes actually use a license. So anytime a node disconnects for any reason, it's no longer using up a license.
All right, Quinn, is there anything else out there that I missed? Anything new? If
I
not,
don't think so.
All
I
right,
think
hey,
we covered
listen.
everything.
Listen, again, as I said at the beginning of this conversation, super happy to be here. We know that our customers know cybersecurity, and because they know cybersecurity, they know Saint. And so any chance we get a chance to speak with that population, we're always excited. Excited to hear from you and learn from you. And so it was great today. My email is readily published if you'd like to talk. But other than that, I think we're going to wrap it up. And everyone have a good day. And again, if you have any questions, follow-up questions, just follow one of the links and go to b.secure or sales or one of those other things. And I get every single sales email. I also get every single call ticket that this company receives every day. We're a 24/7 shop. We have folks that help 24 hours a day. And I get every one of their tickets too. So if you talk to Carson and Saint, I see it, and we will be there for you. Have a good day, good night, and we will talk to you soon.